Dayseeker have released Dark Sun. I've seen this name of Dayseeker coming around quite a lot recently. I think they've done a tour in America with Holding Absence. I'd seen the name popping up, so knowing this was coming up, I hadn't listened to any of the singles beforehand, so it was a completely clean slate, and I wanted to kind of just see how I'd enjoy it. And I loved it. I think everything right from the start, like with Dream State, had such a nice flow. I think the song takes you on a journey, the synth melodies carry through nicely. The vocals have like a hint of heaviness at times where, like the end of choruses, the aggression seems to slightly seep through. And like with that song in particular, the bridge hits, the riffs drop, and the screams enter, and I feel like with that first single to kick off an album, it just encapsulates all of what you can expect from them. And I think the rest of the album just carries on like that. It's really, really beautifully mixed in terms of the melodies, with the glimpses of heaviness, with showing like diversity of their music. I feel like the vocals are such a strong key point in really pulling you into the music. And I don't really feel like there's any songs on this album that kind of like drop off. I felt I could listen to this pretty much from start to finish very easily and then be surprised like, oh crap, I'm at the end of an album now. And just restarting it. It was so easy listening for me. The delivery of the vocals and like the emotion behind it very much did remind me of Lucas from Holding Absence. I could see those similarities between it. And
you can see why they've worked together.
Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. So many great songs on here, like Dream State, Neon Grave, Afterglow, Without Me. I love this album, and this is definitely one that I now need to delve more into Dayseeker from this. I loved it.
Yeah, I was pretty much in love with it from the first listen. I think the albums that I always end up enjoying the most are the ones that you feel like you can get really wrapped up in, and like you can exist within that world for 30, 40 minutes, however long it is. And this is one of those albums where it's like, as soon as it was on, like it's not one that I think I would ever like shuffle or whatever. It's one that you have to enjoy all the way through for the journey that it takes you on. I feel like this takes a lot of nods from Sempiternal, sort of the way that it I mean, I'm not familiar with the rest of their catalogue, but it feels like sort of an expansive world of instruments that they've used on this one. I don't know if that's something that is new or not, but it feels like with this one, you can tell that, because given the sort of the subject matter behind a lot of the album being the passing of one of the members' fathers, you sort of understand like the whole album exists in that headspace, and they strive very well to create like a landscape with the instruments they use throughout that sort of carries you all the way through. And I think it's paced really well. And I've seen a lot of like criticism online that it's not as heavy as previous work, but I think it's heavy in a different way. It's not heavy in the sense that here's a breakdown. It's heavy in the sense that
here's
like,
an emotional breakdown.
Takes
Emotional damage.
But no, I think that's like that's
Scottish.
Wow. No,
anyway, Alex, you're making a really profound point there.
Well, I think it's just it's an important album to listen to, and an album that just sort of envelops you when you listen to it.
Yeah, I'm now fully on board the Dayseeker hype train. It's poppy, it's riffy at times, it's heavy when it needs to be sonically, and then heavy in terms of lyrical content as well throughout it. But what I would think really makes this album is the vocal melodies. They just really, there's something about them that just really hooks you in and really becomes an earworm. I keep finding myself humming along to some of these choruses, just doing day-to-day tasks, even if I'm not thinking about the album. Crying While You're Dancing is a huge sad pop ballad. And in fact, I think it maybe gives this whole album its own sort of label as like misery pop or misery core.
I love that.
Or something like that. The only way I think this album suffers in a way is that I think its punchiest and most aggressive songs are literally the first two on the album. So maybe it kind of blue balls you into expecting a few more chunkier riffs throughout the rest of the album. But again, like Alex has mentioned, they're not necessary, really.
Yeah.